Hey folks, this is Gray here, and today we're going to go over 5 prepper mistakes. Now let me be honest with you folks, this is just barely scratching the surface of mistakes that I've made. I'm assuming other folks have made, but if you're new and getting into prepping, these are some things that you could possibly avoid, save you money and save you headaches down the road. All right, so one of the biggest mistakes I think people make when they first get into emergency preparedness is they focus on gear instead of skills. They come into the scene, they see all the YouTube channels, as well as other folks out there, and they see all this awesome gear, these, nice bug out bags, these fixed blade knives, these water filtration, all this stuff like that, which some of it is very, very important. But the big thing is having this skill set to use that gear. So before you go out and spend thousands and thousands of dollars on the latest and greatest, when you do buy something, let's say you buy a Sawyer water filter, right? What I suggest is getting out there, using it, learning how to use it, learning how to flush it, learning how to keep it clean, understand how it works, understand its limitations. So again, skills. You get a ferrocerium rod, and you get it and you're out there and you're trying to start a fire. And you're like, man, I see these guys do it on YouTube all the time. Why can't I? Because people have certain skill sets. Even to this day, I've watched, the shows that you see on the survival shows, and I still see people using a ferrocerium rod in an improper way. Sometimes it gets the job done, but there's a better way to do it. Matter of fact, I made a video probably over a year ago on how to properly use a ferrocerium rod. It was kind of mixed into some other stuff, but it's just crazy. So skills over gear. You can have a limited amount of gear and have a lot of skill and still get your best bang for your buck out of yourself and your skill sets. All right, so that was number 1. We're gonna move on to number 2, but I feel like I need to say this. Again, these are my opinions. These are things that I experienced and that I hope that someone will find value on it. What I suggest that you do after going over these 5, I think I got one bonus one as well. After you go through these 5 prepper mistakes, because there's so many. I can make a list of 50 prepper mistakes and be here for 2 hours. Because there's, prepper pantry mistakes. There is, ammo storage mistakes. There's so many different mistake videos out there. I've gone down the rabbit hole myself. And there's a lot of good information, okay information, and then there's bad information. So just try to do as much research as you possibly can. Number 2 is going to be buying gear without doing the proper research. So folks like myself and many other YouTube channels out there, we review gear. We give people the opportunity to check out gear that we get sent to us from different companies and kind of give you our opinion on that gear. And regardless of what my opinion is, if I think this is the latest and greatest power station or lantern or fixed blade knife or multi-tool, again, that's relating to my experience with this unit and me kind of testing it out. Before you go out and buy something that, let's say, I show you, maybe watch a few other YouTube reviews on it. Maybe do some research on it. If it's something that's on Amazon specifically, and this is what I love to do, is people like to look at the reviews left by others on Amazon, and they mostly focus in on the positive reviews. No, what you should do is also look at the negative reviews. Make sure that something that's going to benefit you before you spend your money on it. Buying gear without doing proper research is a way to just kind of throw money or light the money on fire and have it disappear on you. Over the years, I've bought so many different things. I've been doing this for, I don't know, let's say 20 years or so, right? And I've bought so many gadgets that I thought I had to have because I saw it on YouTube or there was a sale on it and I just thought it was the most niftiest gadget that I could possibly have. And I was like, man, I gotta have that. And I buy it and then realize once I use it, I'm like, this is not what I expected it to be. This is not the tool that is going to work for me in the best situation that I plan on using this tool for. So I suggest, please folks, do your research out there before you buy any gear. Remember, skills over gear. But if you're going to buy gear, make sure you do the research and know a little bit about that product that you're going to buy and how feasible it's going to be for you. One great thing about if you are going to buy gear, buy something, let's say a multi-tool for instance, since we talked about that just a second ago. Have something that you can has multiple purposes for, you know what I mean? Having something that you can use for not just one purpose, but multiple purposes will also lighten, let's say if you're going to get a bug out bag or a get home bag or whatever emergency bag that you plan on doing, the best bet is that if you can use something that's going to work for you to do multiple things, it's better than having a knife, a saw, what else, a cane, having all the different things that's on a multi-tool specifically, but something that's more versatile in your tool bag or get home bag or whatnot. So let's move on to number 3. All right, so number 3 is a huge one, folks. This is one, man, I remember, like, again, when I started out, I made this mistake big time. Because again, you see someone, they're going to do an EDC pouch dump. They're going to show you what's in their bug out bag or their get home bag. They're going to show you all this really cool gear. Folks, I've had, like, let's say, prepper gatherings, right? And folks ask me because they know that I have a little bit of knowledge, you know what I mean? I'm not some crazy expert, you know what I mean? I haven't been doing it 50 years and generational preppers and whatnot. But it's to the point where I kind of get an idea of what's useful and what not. But when you buy something, man, don't buy a bug out bag and throw a bunch of stuff in this bag and think, oh, I'll figure it out down the road. Buying gear and not using gear is a huge error. Not testing your gear or equipment can be a big fail. I've seen people dump out their bug out bags at some of these meetings or gatherings that I go to, and they dump it out and things are still in the original packaging. And I'm like, hey man, how do you know that this tool or this gadget or this equipment is going to work for you? Do you have the skills to use this? Maybe they have a brand new ferrocerium rod, never unwrapped. Maybe they have a fixed blade knife. Maybe they have a water filter. Maybe they have a tourniquet. Maybe they have all this gear in this bag and they have no idea how it works. It's still in its original packaging, folks. Go out there and test your gear and equipment. All right, so number 4 is kind of a combo one. Basically, it comes down to relying solely on a specific prep. So relying solely on food storage or relying solely on, let's say, bulk ammo and firearms. Let's say they have, 40,000 rounds, they have 16 rifles, but they got no food preps. Or someone that has, a year's worth of food, but they don't have, ways to protect themselves and protect that food. So please don't make the mistake. And it's like you want to sprinkle things all around, you want to kind of go slow and you want to, ease into things. You don't want to, kind of just only like hyper focus on one specific thing. You know what I mean? Yes, get your food up, get your water up, get your medical supplies up, get your ammo up, get your firearms, all the things that you need, but don't focus too much on one thing and one thing only. Some folks that feel that, oh, well, they got a year's worth of supply of food, they're good to go. Not realizing that there always may be a potential threat down the road, be it if their house burns down, someone, happens to have a home invasion, robbery, or if the balloon goes up and things go crazy and SHTF happens, someone, a group of folks, try to take what you have. It's really, what was really saddening for me is I saw a video or two when I was going down the rabbit hole in regards to prepper mistakes and stuff like that. And this one person, I'm not going to say who it was specifically, but this one person says, I don't need a bunch of guns. I don't need to store a bunch of ammo. I don't need this or I don't need that. And I'm thinking to myself, you're kind of doing a disservice to your viewers in the aspect of like, you just never know. As preppers, we prepare for the unexpected. And now, folks, I'm not trying to scare you, but because 99% of your life is going to be living. You're going to be, with family. You're going to be doing the things. You're going to be out there, camping and hanging out, enjoying life. But there's always that 1%, that something may bad happen. And it could be something small. It could be like, again, the loss of a job. It could be a hurricane, a flood, a tornado, a blizzard, an ice storm. There's so many different things that can happen outside of the crazy things, the zombie apocalypse, which is probably far from ever happening. But, the crazy things, let's say economic collapse or EMP, World War III, you know what I mean? That a lot of people will push because it gets views, to be honest with you. But those things they have a possibility of transpiring and possibly happening, but you have more of a percentage of little small things happening, and just being prepared in general is very beneficial. And that kind of goes into, I guess let me add to this, is the fact that you should not be preparing for one thing. Remember, God, there's you see TV shows, what was that? I can't think of the show off the top of my head, but anyways, You know, what are you preparing for? Well, I'm preparing for an EMP. Well, what are you preparing for? I'm preparing for an economic collapse. What are you preparing for? I'm preparing for, you know, sleeper cells to awake and take over the country, and I'm going to fight my way through it. You want to, when you prepare, you want to prepare just general preparedness, because if you prepare as if anything, if, okay, put it this way, if you prepare for the zombie apocalypse, you'll be prepared for almost about anything. That'll make it simple. Let me try to go into a deep dive on this, but hopefully you get what I mean by that. All right, we're going to move on to number 5, folks. Number 5. Man, I'm telling you, it's dusk here. I don't know if you can tell, the lighting's getting really bad. The sun is just about set. The deer out here are absolutely crazy. I've seen like 5 of them. Maybe they're just watching me do some YouTube. Maybe they want their 5 minutes of fame on the YouTube channel. Anyways, number 5. Huge one. I feel that they're all important, right? These 5 tips, they're all important. Like I said, we're just scratching the surface of this. But number 5 is not preparing your family. A lot of us, even like myself early on, you know, I'm just thinking, well, I'll prepare. I will do the things, you know, I will train. I will learn how to use firearms. I will understand how my first in, first out. I'll understand how prepper pantry works and how to build a long-term food storage. I will learn how to do all these things myself, instead of teaching my wife or my son or my daughter or other family members on these different skill sets. You can't just be that one person, because if an emergency presents itself and you happen to be at a distance away, you want to make sure that your significant other, your loved one, or whoever it may be, that they have the same idealistic skill sets that you have, and understand that if this happens, this is the plan. This is what we're going to do. This is how you use this equipment. This is how you fire a firearm. This is how, you know, this is what the game plan is. So having your entire family to prepare with you and understand what this means, because it's not a hobby, folks. But being prepared is a lifestyle. This is a lifestyle that we choose. We choose to have you know, these contingencies to help us, you know, when an emergency happens to arise, be it whatever that emergency is. Emergencies can go from, like I said, small things to really big things, but we want to involve our entire family. If you're in a group of folks, that's even better, but specifically focus even on young children, man. If you can get them to understand why you're doing what you're doing, you're building that generational prepper. You know what I mean? So as they grow up, they're like, well, you know, my dad, you know, he prepped for this, and you know, we dealt with some of these situations. We had a hurricane back in this year, and we were good because we had a solar power generator, we had a gas generator, we had food, we had water, we had medical supplies. Because basically, you're your own first responder in a situation like that. And it's just that when you get the whole family involved, it's a better outcome for you as well as your family members. So again, number 5, don't forget to prepare your family. All right, so you guys stuck to the end of this and listened to all 5 prepper mistakes. I'm going to give you guys a bonus. And if you guys like this video and you feel like you got any value out of this video, hit that thumbs up button, of course. And if you're new here, please subscribe. Talking a little fast because the sun is almost gone. But I'm going to give you a bonus one. And to me, this is another huge one. There's so many ones that I want to talk about. But if you like content like this, or you guys want to hear like more prepper mistakes, or maybe some pantry mistakes, or whatever that you guys have down, put that down in the comments, and what your thoughts about this video is. Also, if what prepper mistakes have you made and that you've learned from, I'd like to hear from you down in the comments as well. All right, so that's that call out there for you folks. So the bonus one is, people start prepping, right? And they get so overwhelmed, you know, and they got their 1 year's food supply, they got, you know, all this and all that. But they forget that you need to maintain your preps. So this is a bonus mistake that a lot of people make, is not maintaining your preps. Now this can mean your food storage, you know what I mean? Not checking on it, not rotating it. This can mean, you know, just random things like your gear. You know, let's say you have an emergency bag because, you know, a hurricane comes and you have to evac to a specific location, and you've had that bag sitting there for 3 years, and you got some important medications in there, you got food in there, and you've just kind of forgotten about it. And now the medication is bad, the food is rotten, maybe it's a protein bar, whatever it may be. Is that, folks, you should always maintain your preps. I mean, this even comes down to your clothing. Let's say you buy a pair of shoes to go hiking, and you use these shoes all the time because you're trying to break them in. You had them for a year or so, and then an emergency presents itself where you actually have to walk a long distance, and those shoes fall apart on you because you didn't maintain them. You didn't have a couple extras, or maybe you have some socks that, you know, have holes in them. So clothing, this kind of encompasses a lot of different things. And these mosquitoes, can you see them, folks? They're coming for me. But yeah, maintaining your preps, folks, be it whatever it is. If you have a firearm, make sure you keep that firearm clean. Make sure you keep those magazines checked. Make sure that you check in your ammo. You know, maintaining your preps is just a nice bonus one to add to that. That a lot of people make a mistake because I've had someone say, hey, you know, what's your everyday carry? And they'll pull out and I'll see what they have. And I'm like, man, this thing has dust on it. It has lint. It looks horrible. You know what I mean? Like they've never trained with it. They've never fired it. There's just no maintenance to that firearm. And it's just, I feel bad, but I'm like, hey, bro. And I start, you know, giving my spiel, kind of what I'm doing here on YouTube right now is kind of giving my spiel about, like, you know, you need to maintain, you need to train, you need to become proficient, you know, you need to know all these different things when it comes to that firearm other than just carrying it, because the last thing you want to do is use deadly force unless you absolutely have to. So, you know, there's so much that encompasses maintaining your preps, and I'm kind of starting to steer down a different direction, but I'm going to stop myself from that. All right, folks, I actually wrote something down that I wanted to share with you as we wrap this video up. And I just thought it was very well written and it's good information. It says, always work to improve your skills as well as your physical abilities, but make sure all of your plans take into account any current limitations you may have. So A, improve your skills as well as your physical abilities. Get out there, do some hiking, do some camping, do some walking, try to, you know, work on your stamina. Like I'm not a marathon runner. I'm not some sort of, you know, super health nut freak, you know, you kind of get where I'm going with that. But I try to maintain myself by going out in the woods, using my gear, you know, getting some miles underneath me, you know, just to kind of get my cardio going, get the heart rate up. I know some people don't have that ability to do so, but if you can, don't be complacent. If you get the opportunity to, you know, instead of parking, you know, as close as you can to that store, maybe park as far as away you can from that store and get a little bit more foot traffic. And you know what I mean? I know some people are like, well, you know, if it's that far, you know, that becomes a situational thing, and I'm worried about if something happens, I won't be close to my vehicle. From my perspective on that, I like my vehicle being a little bit far because I carry everywhere I go. So I know that I can get from point A to point B, or at least the best, or at least try to. Mosquitoes. Anyways, and then knowing your limitations. Know if you know that you can't make it 5 miles on foot with a, you know, 15-pound bag, 30-pound bag, or whatever it may be. I mean, come on, folks. I'm not 18 anymore, and I'm not in the Army. I can't do an 80-pound ruck and then walk, you know, or hike or march 30 miles and expect the same results me at my age now. So knowing your limitations is a huge thing. That's why I thought I had to write that down, because it really touched me to the point where I was like, man, that's great. I like that saying, and that it makes sense, and I want my viewers to know that. So other than that, folks, hope you enjoyed the video. Remember, you are not alone. This is GreyMan. I'm out. I'll see you guys in a rebound, and God bless each and every one of you. And again, thank you for watching.